Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's live training where it's all about prioritizing like a pro. So, this is really a fundamental training, and I wanted to deliver it as a follow up to yesterday's video that you all seem to really love about a typical day in my life as a 7-figure business owner or membership owner. So what I brought you today is a prioritization training and cheat sheet, and based on the video that I did yesterday as a day in the life, I wanted to follow up on that and really show you exactly how many hours I'm working on what and how I am coming to the decision what I'm working on and what not. So please go ahead from wherever you're watching. And if you're seeing me live, let me know where you're watching from, what platform, what country, if you are prioritizing in your business. And yeah, if you want to get the cheat sheet, hi. Yeah, that's true. That's a huge part of that is prioritizing. And that's Jessa. She's my business partner. And she is also huge in prioritizing. And her love language is checklists. So that's her preferred method and tool. Today, I want to dive a little bit deeper than that into strategies. So from wherever you're watching, please head to the description, grab this cheat sheet, make a copy for yourself. You might want to use it. And please don't overlook, there's 2 pages to that. Okay, so let me dive in straight away. Here, we have different kind of tables in here, and I quickly want to walk you through what it is. Here is a table that lets you know what I'm in general prioritize in my business. And those are actually the only things I'm trying to work on. I'm trying to work on nothing else but those 3 pillars, and I'll talk about what they are and why that is in a second. And within those 3 pillars, there are certain tasks, and those can be divided in consistency tasks. So things that I'm doing on a consistent basis in different intervals. And I have written down for you what I'm doing in what intervals, how many minutes that is on average, and then how many minutes that is on average per week. And then what a week kind of totals up to in a week that is in maintenance mode. Always with Sundays off, about 4.5 hours a day, and also what it is in weeks where I have a growth focus, which is 6 hours a day then. So now let me kind of break it down for you, and let's start with the top pillars that we should prioritize. So let me just quickly see if you all can access the sheet and kind of have it. You're so sweet. Okay, so actually this is based on a file that I a few months ago, shared with Jessa to also between us communicate what I'm in my head prioritizing on, right? Because we're business partner, we kind of have to be on the same page. And in my business, when I break it down, there are only 3 core areas in which I want to operate and spend my time. And this is, it either has to increase my customer lifetime value, and or, because often we have synergies where I can do both, bring new customers in, and or it has to remove me from the business. Because if you really think about that, those are the 3 ultimate pillars that contribute to your success and your bottom line, like overall. It's what kind of leverages do we have in our business when we are wherever we are, right? How do we make more money? It's either bringing in new customers, retaining or selling more to existing customers, or, and that's kind of a special category, making the business run without you. Because the business will, even if you don't get more customers and even if you don't retain your current customers for longer, become inherently more valuable if it can be an ecosystem that functions without you, right? A business that's dependent on you, that can only run because you are in the business, does not really have a lot of value on the market. And if you sell it, you'll always have to sell it with contracts where you would still basically have to work in the business. So it's more like buying yourself a boss from my perspective. So this is why, even though I have no intentions of selling my business, I always want to have the option. That's something we talked about in Road to Roadmap. But ultimately, those are the things that increase the value of my business, of my operation, right? So what's currently on my focus areas, on my top priorities within here, is what I think are the areas where I can contribute to that overall goal, right? So increasing customer lifetime value is improving the onboarding, improving the service, having a better cancellation funnel, upgrading our portal experience, automated upgrade promos, so internal upselling and from within the funnels and from within the portal. Then we have kind of bi-weekly support sessions for our supplementary tech solution, the conversion blueprint funnels, a reactivation funnel with service, yearly upgrade, and backend program. So those are the things that I have decided are the ones that will contribute to my customer lifetime value. Those are projects that I'm working on. For new customers, it's funnel optimization, it's funnel creation. With funnel creation, it's also offer creation, right? Organic content, affiliate marketing, email automation, nurture email, joint ventures, media podcast, which is also PR, internationalizing the ads, then work with free workshop for conversion blueprint funnel. You have seen me doing this, so a few of those things you might recognize because you might say now, oh, she actually been doing this. Yes. And it's a part of the big picture. And launches, right? And when it comes to removing myself from the business, summary things only I can do in the business right now, and accountability checkpoints. So here are a couple of things that I'm working on to remove myself more from the business. I'm a little bit behind on that sector because I'm currently just mapping out what are the things that really only I can do, which are those things here. And I'm having accountability checkpoints for myself to try to get on a weekly basis, taking an inventory. What did I do that I should have, either not have been doing at all or been able to document and then delegate. So when you make a copy for this, think for yourself, right? What can you do in your business? What are all the options that you have available right now to get in new customers, increase the customer lifetime value, and removing yourself from the business? And depending on how far you are in the journey, many people are just in here like, I first need to make sure to have customers coming through the door, right? But once you have your first customer, for example, using the free sessions to paid clients, you already also have action tasks in here, because now it's about getting your customer results, right? Which you then can use the testimonials to get more customers in the door. So the increasing of the customer lifetime value by improving the experience and getting people more results, those things will always positively lift each other up. Okay, I don't want to drift off too far. There's so many things that I want to say about this. So these kind of projecty things, they are ad hoc tasks. So I'm working on them whenever I have time. When do I have time? Well, when I'm done with all my maintenance tasks. Because the bigger your business will get, right? In the beginning, you will not have a lot of maintenance tasks. You will have a lot of project tasks where you need to build up, right? But once they work, you'll have maintenance tasks, which is, for example, optimizing. So few maintenance tasks you should have right away from the beginning. So for example, if you're watching this from Coach Growth Hub, right after the clarification section, when you have an idea for your beta, when you know this is my free themed session, there are a few systems that you should already been running and be consistent with. So I started my daily lives. This is a consistency task right now. Before that, I only focused on daily free content, right? So not every day we have to have a huge pillar piece, but I was writing about 1 to 2 pillar pieces per week that I would then repurpose to over 100 pieces of content over the course of the week. Again, if you're Coach Growth Hub member, you can see it in there, how I've been doing this. Right now, I'm trying something different. I'm trying to go live every single day to then strip my pillar pieces from the live and then to keep my content distribution system kind of going. For now, it was a main priority for me to get consistent with that. So today's day 14. Kind of good in establishing the habit. And now I feel like I have more capacity to start repurposing that and integrating it in my previous content system. This is daily. Then we have, and in the beginning, right now I'm a lot faster with this kind of content creation. In the beginning, very likely this can take up to 1 hour of your day to create high valuable free content. But again, because you need clients, you kind of need this building brick in your business. Then paid content creation. I create paid content every single day, and I would say on average 60 minutes per day in a maintenance phase. Sometimes I have creation spikes where this is higher. I want to say that, again, when you're starting out, you will be slower creating paid content, right? Because you have to find your groove, you have to find what works for you, you have to work out your methodologies, how you approach things, the whole like being able to conceptualize things like that, and creating your materials. That is quite of a learning curve. So in the beginning, you will be much, much, much slower creating your paid content. That is true for me as well. It took me to create one workbook, could take me 1 or 2 weeks, right? We also didn't have ChatGPT back then, but even if I would have had it, it would have taken me longer because I still needed to find my methodologies, how I create transformation. Over time, I just got more productive in doing that. So my time on that task ultimately didn't increase, but my output increased because I got better at it, right? So the longer we can be consistent with those things, the bigger our output will be. So people are like, how much are you working? This is insane. How can you have such an output? But it's just because when you do things so often, so consistently, your output just increases, not the time that you put in. And if you have ever seen, for example, Jess, if she's still watching, if you have ever seen her design, she has a recent YouTube video. You should check out her channel because she has been on fire there lately, where she created a whole digital product in 4 minutes, right? But it took her years to get to the point where she can create a digital product that is very likely to sell on Etsy, because she already knows exactly what she needs to create and how she needs to create it. It took her years to get to the point where she can make a product very likely to sell good in 4 minutes, right? So when you consistently put in the time, over time, your output and your productivity will go up and up and up. Nurture emails. I do this 2 to 5 times per week. It takes me on average 45 minutes to prepare an email like that. So I know that's a little bit long, but again, we need to also make sure that it's valuable. Then we have the answering questions in the Facebook groups and in Slack. That's also 2 to 5 times a week, and it's also about 45 minutes. Then we have the live Q&A in Coach Growth Hub, and this used to be more. So when I started building up the business, when I started having my memberships, it also was around this amount up until like 100 members. And then as it was growing and my membership started to be really engaged, it went up all the way. Like my darkest times with that was 5 hours a day of pure answering questions, and I did it for months. Eventually I realized like I was hiring and building my team too late, because I had a little bit past trauma about team building, and I wasn't ready to work on myself in the way I needed to be able to hold a team like that. But eventually now it's decreased down to that amount again, right? So some things like answering individual questions, your productivity will be like a Gaussian curve. So there will only be a certain amount in which you can improve here, because it just takes a while to read the question and write the answer. And even, we work with our coaches, we do trainings, and we have FAQ sheets, etc. But there are new questions, right? So like I said, there's a certain threshold, and in some things you have a limit to productivity, and this is when you need to start hiring out. But usually when you have that problem, you also have the funds to do that. And if you don't have the funds to do that and you already consider hiring things out, you might not focus on the right things. I'm so sorry to say that, but I see people who are not making any money basically in their coaching business already hiring stuff out. And I personally think that, unless it's stuff like you're really overwhelmed with tech, right? Unless it's, I know exactly what tasks need to be done and I'm just buying that expertise to get it done faster, I wouldn't recommend it, right? If you don't know what to say in your content yet, you shouldn't be out hiring it out, right? I also, like you see, I'm not at all outsourcing my content creation. I had someone helping me clipping snippets from my long videos, and even that was not in alignment with how I wanted to have it, because again, it was not highlighting the kind of things that I wanted to communicate. Creating high value content for your business, may be free or may be paid, in my opinion, is a high leverage task. And for me, it pays off for a long time to to be the one doing that, right? So that's something for sure. If you're just starting out in your coaching business and you hire someone to just post something randomly, I don't recall any case where I've seen that working really well for a coach. So in that case, it's better if you learn how to do the messaging and everything yourself, and then eventually over time start repurposing. But again, from my personal experience, my philosophy, I'm not even at that point where I feel that this is something that would contribute more to my business than it would take. Then I have the weekly live Q&As in Coach Growth Hub. That's an hour. And then I have the check-in with the team management. That's weekly an hour. Then I have the weekly promotion email, so where we promote the freebies of our Coach Growth Hub members, the mini offers of our Funnels and Ads Pro members, and the mini memberships of our coaching mini membership method students to my 42,000 people email list. So that my team prepares it, but I always write a personal message with it. So this is why it takes 30 minutes to be done. Then I have the weekly group coaching calls in Funnels and Ads Pro and Coaching Mini Membership Method. And then every other week, we have a 1-hour team meeting. So that equates to 1,670 minutes per week, which is 28 hours, which is divided by 6 days, because 1 day on average I want to take off per week, to 4.5 hours. If I'm now also doing the ad hoc tasks, which is offer and funnel development or joint ventures PR, right? We're participating in a summit or in a bundle, or I'm going on a podcast, or I'm arranging with someone to guest train in our memberships. That's like a ad hoc task outside of that. And then the process optimization, right, which is all of those things like onboarding, improving the quality, working on improving our cancellation funnels, working on our affiliate system. All of those ad hoc tasks on average are 1 additional hour of focused work per day. So in a more growth focused phase, it will be on average 6 focused productive hours per day. What I want to say is that there are a few notes before I'm going into how to prioritize, but also let me quickly see if there's any question. I totally agree. Creating content is something I don't want to outsource at this time or anytime soon. I'm so with this. And again, I think that if you're not making money, but you're already thinking about outsourcing things, revisit your priorities. It shouldn't be like that. Or, I also have membership owners in the program that are like, well, I'm making $3,000 monthly recurring revenue, but I'm still not positive. And I'm like, okay, how much are you spending on ads? Well, okay, 700 or 1,000. Okay, so you should be left with around all the tech. Let's deduct all the tech. You should be around 1,500 to 1,700. And then they're like, no, because here's my VA and here's my operations management and here's my content manager. And I'm like, okay, I didn't have any of that, right? Before I was at that point. And sometimes we just blow up our structures. Same goes with opting for different software things, etc. Sometimes we blow up our operations so fast that we then have to strip it down again and again. If it's not feeding into growth and customer lifetime value almost at returns the next month or the month after that, you're probably not ready for that structure. You probably don't need it yet. And that is very carefully spoken for a low ticket coaching business with a membership component, with somebody who wants to grow from cash flow. Okay, I recognize there are other business models and there are startups and there are different approaches to doing business. For our kind of business, we do not need these heavy operations, for sure not. And we should be able to grow profitably from cash flow and relatively early be able to cover our normal cost of living, right? If you live reasonable from the memberships. And typically you can, in the beginning, you can hire help to answer questions on an hourly basis quite affordably from within your membership. I'm paying beyond what our industry standard is. And for taking and answering questions in a group, it's between $25 and $35 an hour. That's way above what many coaches pay. But with a few hours of help a week, that can already go very far. And those are the kind of things where you would want to hire help, but you don't need all these systems. And if you're if you can't immediately put your finger on, I can't give this up because this is where the money is flowing back, you might not be big enough to need that system yet. Okay. The only thing I outsource is uploading content to MemberPress and putting together websites into WordPress. Copy is mine. Perfect. So, if it's a completely like manual task and you can upgrade your hour where you know for yourself. So that's also a thing. You need to know how much time you work in your business, because you need to know what your average hour is worth, because only then you can decide if it's worth trading your hour, right? So if you work in your business and so for example, my hour is worth around $700, right? When I'm working in the business. When I'm trading this for one-to-one coaching, which I'm charging like $297, I need a really, really good reason to do that, unless I do it for fun. I need a good reason to downtrade my hour like that, right? So which is why the hot seat, that's also another free training on the channel, is a good idea. But also with for example, with your VA, or if somebody uploads content, that hour needs to be significantly less worth than your hour, then it absolutely makes sense to uptrade, right? But if you're in a cash flow crunch already and you're just afraid of tech and don't want to familiarize yourself, it might be a good idea. Also because I think, from my perspective, but I'm a very anxious person and I love to take full ownerships of the things that I build. I would always want to know how my business works. I can't tell you how many coaches I've worked with that say, honestly, Evelyn, I don't have no idea, because my VA built a funnel and I have no idea where things are going. I have no idea where I would see who bought. I have no idea how I could even change what you just taught me. I don't even know how I would change this, because all of this did my VA. And by the way, they're not working with me anymore. And they ran away with a few passwords, right, for software that I'm now paying for. I don't want to throw shade on VAs, because very often, like I said, it's hiring too early and from a position where you're not ready for it. But I mean, it's your business. If you're reliant on a person you hire to even to be able to log in to one of your main money making systems like your funnel, I wouldn't do that. You can outsource that once you know how it works, so you can also control, not micromanage, but you can oversee what people are doing and how long things are supposed to take. I think that's a good time to hire out. This is also why, for example, people come to Funnels and Ads Pro and then they're like, yeah, I looked into this. I would just want to hire someone. Can you recommend someone? I work with AdTribe Agency. It's a Ukrainian Canadian agency. We have been working together for like years at this point. And they're also in my ad account, and they also help me like set things up, etc. But I know exactly at every point in time what's going on. I tell them the strategy. I know the whole offer. I know the whole funnel. I know how much budget we can spend on a week. I know what audience I want to have tested. So they're really just in there doing the manual setups, because them doing that is better because their hour is less than mine. So I'm uptrading my hours, but I know exactly at any point in time what's going on in my ad account. When we have coaches that work with VAs or ads managers at very, very early stages, I allow them to bring them into the program, because I say, okay, give them access, let them watch it, set it up like this. And then the owner, the coach, comes to the call and it's like, yeah, okay, show me your ad account. Okay, how do I do this? Then we spend, quite a bit of time fiddling around until we're at the point where they can show me their ad account. And then it's a traffic campaign, not a conversion campaign. The pixel is not set up, and I can't even explain the coach why this is wrong, because they haven't watched the training. They just sent their person to go do it. So I think if you need to first know how things work before you outsource them. That's my personal opinion. You can agree or disagree with me, but I've seen so many people burning their fingers, and I wouldn't do that. 71 members is fantastic, Katja. That grew very fast now, I feel. When did you start? Okay, so going back to this one here. Okay, so those tasks that are not kind of the daily tasks, and like I said, you should have the free content creation from the beginning, paid content creation from the beginning, nurture email from the beginning. Answering questions will be very likely, communicating with your one-to-one clients. Weekly live call and group coaching call will be very likely one-to-one hours that you do. Team check-in you don't have, promo email you don't have, team meeting you don't have, right? So you will be mainly focused in the areas of free and paid content creation. email marketing, so nurturing, which is basically repurposing of that free content, and then communicating with your one-to-one clients and coaching clients while you build up that paid offer, your first one-to-many offer or bigger one-to-one package, right? Either a 12-week beta coaching program, you couldn't do that one-to-one or in a group setting, or a beta membership. But this is very likely what your consistency tasks will look like. For the project tasks, I always refer back to the daily self-management, right? So you need to brain dump what is on your mind, what you think you need to be doing on any given day before you start working on something. And then prioritize with it's important and urgent, you need to get it done. It's important, not urgent, you need to schedule it, and you need to get it done when it's scheduled. It's not important and not urgent, try to delegate or outsource it. Again, if it is really something that is actually that actually needs to be done. So why is it urgent, right? Is it urgent because it's something where you were overcommitted and you actually should have said no to that? Or is it why is it urgent, right? Is the urgency legitimate? If not, radically delete. One of the keys to being productive is to do less things, significantly less things. So now I know that a lot of people actually struggle with seeing this through. So what I brought you today is sequencing questions. Let me kind of zoom that in. How can you find out in what sequence you should be doing things? Okay, so these questions, write down all the tasks of your ad hoc projects that you need to work on and all the ad hoc projects that you have, right? And then you would want to say, okay, these are all the ad hoc projects that I have that feed into either getting new customers or increasing the customer lifetime value of my existing customers, or removing me, I wrote us because I was also thinking about Jessa, from the business, okay? So when you have all of those tasks, all of those projects and subtasks that you can think of, then you would want to ask yourself, what is the very first thing that needs to happen for my goal to take shape, to get in place, right? And the goal is, it is a new customer, or it increases customer lifetime value, or it removes me from business. So whenever you think about a project and all the things related to it and all the things you think you need to do to get a new customer, what is the very first step that needs to happen to bring this goal to life? Okay, then look at the tasks and say, okay, now that I have my starting point, like this is the first thing that needs to happen, let me look at the other tasks and let me sort by what task is a prerequisite to another. So when you look at tasks, you'll be like, okay, these tasks actually depend on each other. I can't do this task if I haven't done this first, right? So sort from that perspective. Then the next one is, are there any tasks that can be combined or executed simultaneously? So this is where you try to find synergies, right? That is like me doing a paid coaching program that I'm giving free access to my members, my students, to meet their Did you hear me? What was the last thing you guys hear? Oh no. No sound at 2:04. Can you hear me now? Okay. Okay, I was on the checklist. Probably 2 minutes. Let me do the checklist again. Okay. So the checklist is whenever we're doing a task, whenever we have a little project that consists of steps, right? Everything we bring to world consists of steps. Let me just see if my audio is working now. Now I'm so paranoid. Hello, hello. Okay, so everything we do consists of every project, every progress consists of action we need to take to make it happen. So we actually need to start with having a vision for what should that be and then committing that we will be doing it, right? When we have identified something that we want to do, we need to make sure, is it paying into those buckets? Okay. When it does that, we want to say, what is the first step that contributes to that bucket? So what is the starting point of where I need to start? Then you would want to look at the tasks and you want to bring them in an order where you say, okay, what tasks depend on each other? And then you want to sort them by that. Okay, so for example, you say, I cannot write the email for this new offer before I have not clearly mapped out and understood for myself what is included in the offer. So let me write the sales pitch first so I have a clear vision for the offer and the messaging so I can then write my email. So email needs to come after writing the sales page, right? So identifying what is a prerequisite to do the other thing, sorted by that. Then saying what steps can be combined, what can be done simultaneously, what resources do I require for each step. And that's good to think through before you jump into the creation task, because otherwise you might hit a roadblock. And if we have not prepared ourselves mentally for the roadblock, this is when we take a quick break and jump off on social media and there's an ad for a completely new solution, and that feels like, yes, we should have always had a master resale rights course and probably potentially pivot our business to that, because Tiffany made $100,000 in the last week selling this, and you're out of it. So when you anticipate what you need, you anticipate potential challenges and potential things that throw you off, so you can organize that before you go in the work. What are major milestones, right? So if it's a very long project, then categorize it in milestones, right? So for example, when it is launching your new membership, it's probably like the first milestone is having the first sales page or having a first draft of the sales page. So you have captured your vision and you have a first idea for what needs to be done and going in the content. Then refining the content, creating an outline for what it is that you need to create, right? Then refining the sales page based on feedback. After that, refining the outline for the content, making a schedule for how you would want to create it. Then another milestone is, okay, now I need an advertisement plan and I need to create a launch plan for when do I actually want to bring it to life. Okay, I have my launch plan. Now I need to prioritize, my pre-launch content leading up to the launch, and I need to make a plan for what do I want to finish what. So thinking of bigger chunk milestones while you prioritize will also help you to keep things manageable and keep things doable. But instead of diving into the creation and starting somewhere and having no picture of how what fits together, it really is worth the effort sitting down and thinking this through for yourself. Okay, are there any risks at any step? Is there anything where I need to be particularly mindful of how I approach this? When in the process of execution should I be stopping and evaluate the process, right? So this is, for example, true for things like here with the daily lives. I tried to incorporate this new strategy. Before I did that, I was like, okay, at what point do I want to pause and evaluate? And I've decided for myself, I want to, after a month, do a check-in to get a little bit of a feeling as into where we are headed and where we run. So think that through. Up until what point you make a boundless commitment to wholeheartedly execute, and when do you want to stop and evaluate, right? Because when you say I have this fixed point where I will look at my strategy and at the effectiveness of what I'll be doing, it is much easier for you to run to that point without constantly question. Then you would want to say, okay, what step influences each other? Are there any time sensitive steps? And then what does the final step look like? And ultimately, you end up with a whole checklist, potentially with milestones, that starts with, okay, what do I need to do first? What do I need to do next? What do I need to do after that? What do I need at any point? What do I need to be careful at any point? When do I need to take a breath and check in? It is really, really good to get into the habit of, whenever you have an ad hoc task, create a checklist for yourself and guide yourself through that. So just quickly want to check in if... Okay, perfect. So I hope I was able to wrap this up neatly. And now let me kind of finish with some final notes. What needs to be true for this to work is that you need to start with vision work and committing to doing something like wholeheartedly. Like I said, if you're in and out of this, then it will be very, very hard to not constantly doubt yourself and not constantly start and stop things and, work on other things. So you need the commitment to actually be doing it first. The tasks that you have within those big three, they will change over time. I think I addressed that. You would always want to prioritize things that create leverage. So for me, building funnels that I can that are self-liquidating and that I can run paid traffic towards was a priority for me over getting like really good with my free content game, because my free content game will always require a certain amount of time. But when I have the funnels built up, I have more time to figure it out. And because I was anticipating that the organic content game takes longer and more effort to nail, I also knew that I need to build something first that ensures that I have consistent stream of client into my business and consistent cash flow. So I prioritized building the funnels because I knew it gives me a bigger leverage on the time, right? So I'm trading, because I'm saying, okay, it's better investing my time in the funnel now, because I'm assuming it will be quicker for me to really figure it out. And when I have it, it gives me back a lot more time to focus on the organic that I also want to be doing, but will very likely take a much, much longer time to build up. But when I have my funnels running, I'll have the time to do that, right? So again, we thinking about how I can best trade those things to have more time ultimately, right? So how can we build things that allow us to take more time? Always think about, when you're on the fence of what should I be doing first, what should I be doing second, think about the things that give you more time. In the beginning, you have to do some building blocks, right? So you cannot directly skip from one-to-one coaching into one-to-many coaching. If you don't have a clear messaging and everything, it's just not there. But once you are at that point, where you have your fundamental building blocks is your transformation statement, and a beta version of your offer, and ongoing nurturing and key messaging. Once you have those building blocks, you would want to think about, what can I prioritize that creates the bigger leverage. We have the cost of opportunity shopping. We talked about this. If you don't have a system like that, if you have no ability to move yourself forward in a structured way, then it's very easy to fall into opportunity shopping, because if you don't move yourself forward in a structured way, another person will tell you how to move forward, right? And then basically you're again in a situation where somebody can only guide you so far. Or maybe there's a personal coach you can hire that sits down with you every single day and says, and today you're working only on this, and tomorrow you're working only on that. But very likely, if they're a good coach, they will also force you to do some vision work and hold yourself a little bit accountable. That is, that's a skill you'll need with any program and any solution that you have. And any solution has the initial optimism, and then you'll discover all the downsides of the solution, because every solution to grow your business comes with up and downsides. And then you'll eventually just have to start over again once you discover the downside of that solution you just opted for. So stop resetting yourself, work on the ability. And I'm not saying you, I'm saying in general, I wish more people would stop, keep resetting themselves. Write more, track more, reflect more, do it first and last thing of the day. So like I said, the Eisenhower matrix is first thing of every single day. A quick recap and updating my priorities for the next day is the last thing I do on the day, also because it really gives me closure and I don't feel like I have to hold everything in my head overnight. And rewarding yourself for doing the thing versus the outcome, right? So for me, I will feel like this life strategy is a success if I can be consistent with it. Then I'm like, that was a full success because I wanted to test what it does for my business and I wanted to learn and have the insight. And the goal is just to be consistent. That is the actual like goal with it. And I'm proud of myself if I'm doing that. And I'm not even looking at the results until the check-in point. And when I'm at the check-in point, I'll do my reflections and I know exactly what to optimize. So think also about what you're rewarding yourself for when prioritizing tasks. Yeah, absolutely. It was quite a build. It was quite a build up to this point, but it's actually so. It gives back so much, makes it easier. How I reward myself? How do I reward myself? So I think it's a lot when. That's actually a really good question. I think it's how I frame for myself what I want to be proud of. Um, I don't necessarily like reward myself with any tangible things, or I really love what I do, so I don't have to kind of bribe myself into that. I guess when I'm saying what do you reward yourself with is like when do I feel satisfied and good about myself? And that was a big shift and way to work towards that. So not measuring, how successful I feel with the outcome, and saying no, I'm successful if I keep that promise to myself. So it's more about that reframe. It's more about that when is it that I'm saying I did that well, like I'm actually really really proud of myself, those kind of things. So I try to not be proud of myself for. I know that everyone wants to hear about the 2 million and the numbers, so you can see I'm playing this game a little bit, because although also everyone is annoyed with people who speak about the numbers, everyone is also so curious about them. So I try to play that game, but honestly, it doesn't mean as much as the work that went into going there and the things. I'm proud of myself when I keep the promises that I made to myself, when I keep the promises I made to my business partner. So those are kind of the things that I want to honor myself for. So I think it's what you perceive as the best version of yourself, right? So is the best version of yourself the richest version of yourself, or is the best version of yourself the one that you can always 100% rely on because you'll never let yourself down? Or is the best version of yourself I think that has actually a lot to do with self-trust and being able to really trust yourself. When you say, I do it, that you follow through with this and not disappointing yourself, letting yourself down in that regard. I think that is a critical for me. For me, I'm proud of myself. I'm honoring myself. I can feel good about myself if I don't betray myself in a way that I let myself down. And that is not in a sense of hustle culture, right? I also know my limits. I For many years I have not known my limits, but I definitely know them now. So it's a little bit a more holistic conversation about how you treat yourself, etc. But a huge part for me, what makes me feel good about myself, is if I know I can trust myself. If I said I'll do it, I'll do it. That also makes me feel much more hopeful, I think, about the future, because I know I can kind of rely on myself always, in no matter which situation. So I kind of try to positively reinforce those kind of behaviors. And when I hit like big milestones, etc., I love to see them for just what they are, the logical result of sticking with what I promised myself I'll stick with, right? So it's like, oh yeah, that needed to happen because I promised myself I wouldn't stop doing the thing, and there's kind of the evidence that it happened. But if it happens in a year or in 5 years, for me that moment was not relevant anymore. After I was at a point where I knew I can pay for my family like what I so it got unplugged again. So once I reached a point where I was like, okay, this is a standard good living for my family, then whenever I hit the next milestone, so it was not relevant anymore. So I think once that kind of survival urgency mode was over, after that, I was also able to shift that. Okay, I have to. I'm so sorry, my mic is a little bit off today. I have to hop off anyways now. I hope that this was helpful, insightful. Can you hear me now? It's very low. I'm so sorry about the sound today. Okay, I gotta hop off now. I hope that this was helpful and insightful. And yeah, if there are any other videos that you'd like me to make, let me know because like you saw, I made a little commitment that keep doing this, and I'm super happy for any feedback. Bye bye. Have a lovely day.